In the vast majority of science fiction universes, awakening latent psychic abilities is the beginning of a hero's journey. It is a moment of wonder, a step into a larger world of power and possibility. But in the grim darkness of the 41st millennium, it is the singular most terrifying diagnosis a human being can receive. To be born a psyker in the Imperium of man is not to be gifted. It is to be cursed with a biological treason against your own species. Consider the cruel irony of human evolution. For 10,000 years, humanity has been slowly, painfully evolving into a psychic race. Yet the Imperium, the very regime sworn to protect humanity, is built upon a foundation of absolute hatred and fear of the witch. If you discover you can move objects with your mind or hear the thoughts of your neighbor, you do not celebrate. You freeze in absolute terror. You have just drawn a target on your back that is visible not only to the enforcers on the street, but to entities far, far worse. To understand the horror of the unsanctioned psyker, you must first understand the nature of the soul in this universe. For a normal human, the soul is a dim spark, barely visible in the roiling ocean of the warp. But for a psyker, your soul is a blazing beacon. It is a lighthouse shining into a dimension of pure malignancy. And in that dimension, things are watching. Things that are ancient, hungry, and cruel beyond measure. They see your light, and they begin to swim toward it. You are a doorway. That is the fundamental truth that the ecclesiarchy preaches, and for once they are right. Without training, without the brutal discipline of the Scholastica Psychana, your mind is an unguarded gate. Through you, the horrors of the immaterium can spill into reality. A moment of weakness, a spike of fear, or a flicker of uncontrolled rage can tear the veil apart. You are a walking weapon of mass destruction that could trigger a demonic incursion simply by having a nightmare. This is not the story of the glorious space marine librarians or the astropaths who serve the Golden Throne. This is the story of the unwanted, the hidden, the terrified. We are going to trace the life cycle of an unsanctioned psyker, from the first cold whisper in the back of your mind to the dark hold of the black ships, and finally to the agonizing utility of your death. Prepare yourself. The Inquisition is watching. The horror rarely begins with a thunderclap. It does not start with lightning shooting from your fingertips or eyes glowing with eldritch fire. These are the dramatic exaggerations of propaganda vids. In reality, the awakening of an unsanctioned psyker is a slow, insidious sickness. It begins in the quiet moments of your daily life, perhaps during a double shift at the manufactorum or in the cramped silence of your hab block. It starts as a headache, not a dull throb, but a sharp, piercing pressure behind the eyes, as if something from the inside is trying to push its way out. Then come the sensory distortions. You might notice the temperature in the room dropping for no reason. You can see your breath misting in the air, even though the forge fires are roaring nearby.
Shadows seem to detach themselves from the walls in your peripheral vision, slithering just out of sight when you turn to look. You tell yourself it is fatigue. You tell yourself it is the toxic fumes of the underhive. You take stims to stay awake, terrified that if you sleep, the pressure in your skull will finally crack the bone. But the most terrifying symptom is the noise. At first, it is just a low static, like the hum of a failing voxcaster. But soon the static resolves into voices. You hear the thoughts of your coworkers, petty grievances, secret lusts, flashes of anger. It feels invasive, oily, and nauseating. You try to cover your ears, but the voices are not coming from the outside. They are bypassing your eardrums and echoing directly into the meat of your brain. You are no longer alone in your own head. This is the stage where the physical reality around you begins to rebel. This is the poltergeist phase recorded in inquisitorial manuals. You reach for a recaf mug, and it shatters before your fingers even touch the ceramic. You get angry at a supervisor, and a heavy tool falls from a shelf, missing his skull by inches. It feels like luck at first, or clumsy coincidence, but deep down, a cold knot of dread is tightening in your stomach. You know with a sickening certainty that you did that. The true horror of this awakening is the isolation it breeds. You have been raised on the Imperial Creed. You know the catechisms, suffer not the witch to live. You have seen the burnings in the public squares. You know that the witch is the enemy of mankind. And now you look in the mirror and you see the enemy staring back at you. The realization is not empowering. It is a sentence of absolute loneliness. You cannot tell your parents. You cannot tell your confessor. To speak the truth is to sign your own death warrant. Eventually, the containment fails. It always does. Perhaps it happens during a moment of stress, a fight with a sibling, or a mugging in a dark alley. The power lashes out, uncontrolled and raw. Maybe you fling your attacker across the alley with a thought, crushing his ribcage against the wall. Or worse, maybe you accidentally stop the heart of someone you love during a nightmare. When you wake to the silence of a dead room, with the warp still crackling like static on your skin, the denial ends. You are a monster, and now you must run. You are now a fugitive in your own city. You drift down into the underhive, where the light of the Emperor rarely reaches and the enforcers seldom patrol. You learn to live in the shadows, scavenging for corpse starch, sleeping in ventilation ducts, always moving, always watching. The paranoia becomes your only companion. Every glance from a stranger feels like an accusation. Every drone flying overhead sounds like an inquisitorial servo skull hunting for your biosignature. You become a creature of silence, suppressing your emotions because you have learned that strong feelings, fear, anger, lust, are the triggers that let the beast out. But here lies the most insidious trap of the unsanctioned life. The warp does not always come with claws and screaming faces. Sometimes it comes with a warm embrace. In the freezing cold of the sump levels, when you are starving and shivering, the presence in your mind doesn't feel like an intruder anymore. It feels like a blanket. It whispers to you, not in the guttural tongues of demons, but in the voice of a sympathetic friend. It tells you that you are special. It tells you that the people who rejected you are the broken ones, not you. It offers you warmth when there is none. This is the seductive tragedy that the ecclesiarchy never warns you about. They tell you the warp is pure evil, but to a lonely, terrified child in the dark, the warp can feel like the only thing in the universe that understands. You start to listen. You start to converse with the imaginary friend that lives in the static of your mind. When a ganger corners you in a dead-end tunnel, knife glinting in the dim light, the voice doesn't scream in panic. It calmly offers a solution. Push him, it whispers. Just wish him away. And you do. You don't mean to kill him, but the power surges with a rush of ecstasy that is better than any obscura or narcotic. The ganger's bones snap, or his blood boils, or he is simply flung into the abyss of a reactor shaft. In that moment, you feel powerful. You feel safe. The voice congratulates you. It feels good. It feels right. You convince yourself that you are in control, that this is a tool you can master to survive the hell of the Underhive. But you are not the master. You are the battery. With every use of your power, with every moment you seek comfort in that mental connection, the barrier between reality and the immaterium thins. You are eroding the very walls of the dam. You think you are hiding in the darkness of the Underhive, but in the warp, your soul is burning brighter and brighter. To the predators of the Sea of Souls, you are no longer just a flicker of light. You are a bonfire in a dark forest. You have signaled your location to everything that hungers. And it is not just the demons who see the light. Far above, in the spires of the Hive, or in the cold orbit of the void, other eyes are watching. The tarot cards of the diviners are turning over. The psi trackers of the Inquisition are spiking. You thought the friend in your head was saving you, but it was merely keeping you alive long enough for the true hunters to find their quarry. The sweetness of the warp was the bait. Now comes the hook.
The end of your freedom does not come with a warning. There is no polite knock at the door, no readout of your rights. It comes with the explosive crump of a breaching charge that blows your reinforced hab door off its hinges. Before the smoke even clears, the room is filled with the blinding white light of photo flash grenades and the deafening roar of assault shotguns. You are not facing the local enforcers anymore. These are the capture teams, specialized units of the Adeptus Arbites or Inquisitorial Stormtroopers, trained specifically to hunt your kind. In panic, your instinct is to reach for the power. You scream for the friend in your mind to help you, to blast these intruders back, to burn them with the fire that has been keeping you warm. But this time, something is wrong. The air in the room feels thick, oily, and suffocating. The shadows don't obey you. The friend screams in sudden agony and then vanishes into silence, as if a heavy iron door has slammed shut between your mind and the warp. You try to summon the energy, but all you get is a nosebleed and a splitting migraine. You have been neutralized before you even stood up. The team is equipped with hexagrammatic wards,
and psi-dampening grenades. A figure in heavy carapace armor strides through the smoke, wielding a shock maul that crackles with disruptive energy. The first blow doesn't just break your ribs, it scrambles your neural pathways, leaving you convulsing on the floor, unable to form a coherent thought, let alone a psychic construct. You are not a wizard facing warriors. You are a bug being crushed by a boot. As they drag you out of your hovel, zip-tied and gagged, you see the face of your betrayer. It isn't a high-tech scanner that found you. It was the old woman who sold you corpse starch, or perhaps the fellow scavenger you shared a fire with. They stand in the shadows, clutching a small bag of Imperial credits, the bounty for turning in a rogue witch. In the Hive, loyalty is cheaper than water. You realize with crushing despair that you were never hidden. You were just being fattened up for the sale. The final indignity is the collar. It is a heavy, cold band of black metal clamped around your neck, a psi dampener. The moment it locks, the silence in your head becomes absolute. The whispers, the static, the warmth of the warp, it is all severed instantly. You are left alone in your own skull for the first time in months, but it is not a relief. It feels like being blinded and deafened at the same time. You are thrown into the back of an armored transport, just another piece of dangerous cargo destined for the starport. They drag you onto a shuttle, blindfolded and shackled. You can feel the ascent, the crushing G-force pressing you into the metal bench. But when the gravity stabilizers kick in, the real nightmare begins. You are not taken to a local prison station. You are transferred to a vessel that is the stuff of whispered legends in the Underhive, one of the black ships of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. These are the second most powerful fleet in the Imperium, tasked with a singular, endless harvest, collecting the tithe of psykers from every world in humanity's domain. As you are marched out of the shuttle and into the belly of the Leviathan, the first thing that hits you is not a smell or a sound, but a metaphysical absence. The silence here is not a lack of noise, it is a lack of soul. The air feels thin, dead, and metallic. The comforting or terrifying buzz of the warp that has been your constant companion since your awakening is gone completely. It hasn't just been dampened, it has been surgically excised. You feel hollowed out, as if a vital organ has been ripped from your chest, leaving a gaping, freezing wound. This is the effect of the Sisters of Silence, the Null Maidens who guard these ships. They are blanks, pariahs, soulless beings who are anathema to the warp. To a psyker, their mere presence is torture. Being near them feels like standing next to a black hole that is slowly sucking the life out of your pores. You retch, your skin crawls with a primal, biological revulsion, but there is nowhere to run. They stand as silent sentinels, their golden armor gleaming in the gloom, their very existence a cage that no psychic power can break. If you are finding this deep dive into the nightmare of the psyker compelling, consider joining our own legion. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. We explore the darkest corners of the 41st millennium every week, and your support ensures the signal continues. Now, let's descend into the hold. You are thrown into the cargo holds, vast, cavernous dungeons packed with thousands of cryocells and reinforced cages. You are not the only one. You see them by the hundreds, men, women, children, the elderly. Some are catatonic, drooling and staring into nothingness, their minds shattered by the sudden severance from the warp. Others are screaming, tearing at their restraints, their sanity broken by the null fields. The air is thick with the stench of recycled sweat, ozone, and terror. The voyage to Holy Terra can take months, sometimes years, depending on the currents of the warp. This is the culling before the trial. Survival in the hold is a daily struggle against despair. You are fed nutrient paste, just enough to keep your biology functioning, but your spirit is systematically starved. There is no day or night here, only the relentless, oppressive hum of the engines and the psychic silence that presses down on you like a lead weight. Many do not make it to Terra. You watch as the weak succumb. Some die of heart failure, their bodies unable to cope with the stress. Others commit suicide if they can find a way. The guards, stormtroopers with faces hidden behind respirators, move through the aisles, removing the corpses with the indifference of sanitation workers clearing refuse. You learn to sleep with your eyes open. You learn to hoard your strength. You realize that you are no longer a human being. You are a resource, a raw material waiting to be processed. And the factory is waiting.
If you survive the journey, the black ship eventually breaks the warp and enters real space in the Sol system. You are brought to Holy Terra, the throne world of humanity. For a pilgrim, this is the ultimate spiritual destination. For you, it is the mouth of the incinerator. You are unloaded into the vast fortress monasteries of the Scholastica Psychana. Here, the final sorting begins. It is cold, clinical, and utterly devoid of compassion. You are tested not for your humanity, but for your grade, your power level, your stability, and your willpower. The majority of your fellow prisoners will fail here. They are deemed too weak to control their gifts or too tainted to be trusted. They are marched away to the left, toward the hollow mountain of the Astronomicon. You never see them again. But you are different. You have shown a flicker of steel in your soul. You are deemed useful. But utility in the Imperium comes with a terrible price. To serve, you must be broken and remade. You must undergo the soul binding. They take you deep into the heart of the Imperial Palace, to the very threshold of the Sanctum Imperialis. You are brought before the psychic presence of the God Emperor himself. The priests call it a blessing. They tell you that you will be bound to him, that his strength will shield your soul from the predators of the warp. What they do not tell you is what it feels like to touch the mind of a god who has been screaming in psychic agony for 10,000 years. The ritual is not a gentle laying on of hands. It is an act of spiritual violence. As the connection is made, raw power floods into your fragile human mind. It is like trying to channel the energy of a dying star through a copper wire. The pain is absolute. It is a blinding, searing whiteness that scours every corner of your consciousness. It burns away your memories, your personality, your very sense of self. In that moment of connection, your physical body often fails. The energy is too great. Nerves wither, skin blisters, and most commonly, the eyes,
The windows to the soul simply burn out. The fluid boils and the sockets are left as empty, charred pits. This is why so many astropaths and sanctioned psykers are blind. The Emperor's light is too bright for mortal eyes to behold and survive. When you wake, if you wake, you are changed. The constant gnawing fear of the warp is gone, replaced by a dull, throbbing ache where your soul used to be soft. You are now sanctioned. You are soul-bound. You are effectively immunized against the worst possessions of the warp, but you are also a husk of your former self. You have traded your eyes, your sense of smell, perhaps your ability to feel joy, for the privilege of servitude. You are no longer a victim of the warp. You are now a tool of the throne.
But what of those who walked to the left? What of the thousands who were deemed too weak to serve as astropaths, yet too potent to simply execute? Their fate is perhaps the single most horrifying reality in the entire Imperium. They are not granted the mercy of a bolt shell to the back of the head. Instead, they are marched into the colossal spherical chamber of the Astronomicon. They are the fuel for the fire that lights the galaxy. To understand this horror, you must strip away the gold and the incense of imperial propaganda. The Astronomicon is not a machine in the traditional sense. It is a psychic furnace. It is a choir of 10,000 voices singing a single, screaming note into the warp to guide the ships of humanity. And like any fire, it requires wood to burn. That wood is people. That wood is you. You are strapped into a sarcophagus-like pod, wired into the great psychic circuitry of the hollow mountain. You are joined to the choir. Immediately, your will is subsumed. You are no longer an individual. You are a tiny component of a massive psychic gestalt. The Emperor's mind, immense, unfathomable, and predatory, reaches out and seizes your life force. He does not do this out of malice. He does it because he must. But for the fuel, the distinction matters little. The process is not quick. It is a slow, agonizing withering. It takes months. Day by day, you feel your essence being drained away. It starts with your memories. You forget the face of your mother. You forget your name. You forget the fear that brought you here. Then it takes your emotions. You become a hollow vessel, capable only of transmitting the psychic signal. You are conscious, but you are empty. You are a husk that is still screaming, but you have forgotten why you are screaming. Physically, the toll is grotesque. Your body atrophies. Your skin turns to parchment, gray and brittle. Your hair falls out in clumps. Your eyes sink into your skull until they are just dark pits. You are aging decades in the span of weeks. You can see the rows of other pods around you, thousands of them, stretching up into the darkness of the chamber. Every day, the servitors come. They open the pods where the signal has finally flickered out. They sweep out the piles of dust and bone, all that remains of a human being, and they hose down the unit for the next arrival. This is the daily cost of the Imperium's survival. 4,000 souls a day, every single day. If the ships are to fly, if the messages are to be sent, if humanity is to hold back the dark, 4,000 psykers must be fed to the fire. It is a genocide of the gifted, grinding on for 10,000 years. As your consciousness finally fades into the blinding light of the beacon,
you realize the ultimate truth of the 41st millennium. Humanity is not fighting for its soul. It is burning its soul just to stay warm.
If you are one of the rare few who survive the soul binding with your mind relatively intact, you are granted the title of Sanctioned Psyker. You might become an astropath, transmitting messages across the stars, or a battle psyker attached to the Imperial Guard. To the common soldier, you are a figure of awe and terror, a wizard who can boil the blood of orcs or crush a heretic's tank with a thought. But you know the truth. You are not a commander. You are a weapon. And like any volatile weapon, you are kept under the strictest lock and key. Your existence is defined by the leash. In the Astra Militarum, this leash takes the form of a commissar. He is your shadow. He stands just behind your shoulder, always watching, always listening. He is not there to protect you from the enemy fire. He is there to protect the regiment from you. You know that the bolt pistol at his hip is not loaded for the Xenos. It is reserved specifically for the base of your skull. It is a promise of immediate execution, delivered without malice or trial, the moment you show a flicker of corruption. Using your powers on the battlefield is an act of supreme danger. When you reach into the warp to summon lightning or erect a kinetic shield, you are opening the door to hell in the middle of a war zone. The strain is immense. Frost forms on your armor. Blood trickles from your nose and ears. The voices return, screaming, laughing, bargaining. You have to thread the needle of channeling enough power to destroy the enemy, but not so much that you tear the veil of reality apart. And the veil is paper thin. Every time you cast, you risk the perils of the warp. A momentary lapse in concentration can result in catastrophic failure. Gravity might invert around you. The temperature might drop to absolute zero. Or worse, the power might backlash, frying your own brain in a shower of sparks and gore. In the worst-case scenario, your body becomes a portal. A demon rips its way out of your flesh, using your ribcage as a gateway to slaughter everyone around you, friend and foe alike. This is why the commissar watches. He is trained to spot the signs, the twitching of a finger, the darkening of the eyes, the sudden drop in temperature. He will not hesitate. The moment you slip, the moment the warp begins to overtake you, the bolt shell will end your life. And in your final lucid moment, as the darkness closes in, you will likely feel gratitude, because death is the only release from the burden of the gift. You have served your purpose. You have been spent like ammunition. To look upon the life of a psyker in the 41st millennium is to look into a mirror that reflects the darkest tragedy of the human condition. We are a species in transition. The psychic mutation is not a disease, it is evolution. It is the next step for mankind, the potential to transcend our flesh and become something greater, something closer to the Emperor himself. But this evolution has arrived too early, and it has arrived in a universe that is fundamentally hostile to it. We are children playing with loaded guns
in a room full of monsters. The Imperium understands this paradox better than anyone. It knows that for humanity to survive today, it must ruthlessly cull its own tomorrow. The black ships, the golden throne, the bolt pistol of the commissar, these are not just instruments of oppression. They are the desperate measures of a species trying to hold back the tide of its own nature. They are the dam built of corpses to stop the flood. So when you think of the Unsanctioned Psyker, do not think of them merely as a threat or a heretic. Think of them as the ultimate victim of the Grimdark. They are born with a gift they did not ask for, hunted by the people they should be leading, and consumed by the gods they cannot comprehend. They are the canaries in the coal mine of the galaxy, and the gas has been leaking for 10,000 years. The tragedy is not that they die. In Warhammer 40,000, everyone dies. The tragedy is that their suffering is necessary. Every scream in the black ships, every withered husk in the Astronomicon, every execution in the mud of a trench, it all buys the Imperium one more day of existence. The light of the Emperor burns bright, but never forget what it burns on. If you survived this journey into the dark heart of the Imperium, you are ready for more. The Inquisition hides many secrets, and we intend to uncover them all. Click here to discover the horrifying reality of the servitor assembly lines, or here to witness the nightmare of a Gellerfield failure. The Emperor protects, but we decode. Subscribe, and I will see you in the next file.